Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us on the Shee DC morning show. I am
Thank you.
Princess Shee.
And I'm Big Lena.
And who do we have down there with us today?
This is Maxwell.
Hey, boo. So I gotta let y'all know that this is one of my boo things. And she came through to give us a little bit of information about MS.
Yeah.
If you don't know what MS is, Maxwell, why don't you go ahead and tell us what MS is?
Sure. MS is multiple sclerosis. The best way I can describe it is it's a nerve disorder, right? And so the best way, if you could think about it, if you think about a cable cord, and normally you have the wires and then you have that plastic white protection around the cable cord. Well, what MS is, your body's attacking those nerves. So that cable cord is a nerve. And that white protectant is what's called myelin. And so your body is attacking the myelin, and it's eating it away, and it's exposing your nerve endings. And so that's why you see people who have issues with walking, who need wheelchair assistance, people who have pains that, in their legs and arms. It also can affect speech. It also can affect your eyes, which is where my symptoms formulated. You basically get lesions on your brain, and so they do MRIs. And if you have 4 or more, I believe, lesions, I don't want to say 4, it's a number or more lesions on your brain, then at that point they would diagnose you with MS.
So would it depend? It depends on your set of circumstances as far as the number is concerned.
I think there's a base number that after that base number is met, then you would probably be diagnosed with MS. So
go ahead, Lena. Go ahead.
So when you said yours started with your eyes, tell us more about what you mean when you say it started with your eyes.
Well, I was actually, and when you do that, I have a little bit of the same kind of question. I wanted to know if you were actually like born with MS.
No. So I let me preface it to say, with my family, we have what is it called? I can't think of the word, but basically in my family, we have some sort of
with skip generation.
Well, not even skip. So my aunt and my 2 of my cousins, they all have inflammatory type disease. So whether it's lupus,
I'm prone to it.
Yeah. So it's lupus,
neurological.
Neurological disorder. So there's lupus. There's fibromyalgia, and then there's also Graves' disease. So I can't say I was born with it, but genetically I was predisposed to have something. And so a lot of these things, even though they're detecting them earlier in people, a lot of the times, even back in the day, people who had MS, they didn't know until they were like in their 50s or 60s. And that's why a lot of those people are using wheelchairs and don't have assistance, because 1, there was no medication that was developed, and 2, people didn't know what was wrong, but for me, in my case, it was probably around 2006. Maybe 2005, 2006. I woke up one morning and I started losing vision in my left eye. And so imagine when you go swimming and you go to the pool and you open your eyes in the water, and when you come up, your eyes are kind of blurry and fuzzy. Well, that's how my eye was consistently for the whole day. And I just thought, I probably slept wrong. I probably, just had a lot of pressure on my eye. And then gradually the vision started decreasing. And so I didn't realize it. I went to the regular eye doctor where you get your glasses, and they told me, I don't see anything wrong with your eye. Like, your vision seems fine. I'm going to send you to a specialist. And so they sent me to an optic neurologist. And at that point, they had me do a couple tests, and he looked in my eye. They took me in this dark room. They put me in this contraption where they would flash lights at me, cover one eye, and we got to, my good eye. I can press the button. I saw the lights. We got to my bad eye, and he's like, press the button, and I couldn't see a thing. It was pitch black. It was like if I closed my good eye and the light was off, I was basically blind in my left eye.
Wow.
And so that was scary.
Yeah.
And so immediately he was like, I'm going to send you down for an MRI. And so I went ahead, got an MRI, and after they read the scans, they sent me to a neurologist, and he basically was like, you have MS. And, you know, I was in my, early 20s at that point. So, you know, maybe 2 years out of college. So normally I'm a healthy individual. You know, at that point I was, you know, I'm heavier now, but back then I was smaller. And I was still trying to lose maybe 5-10 pounds at that point at my smallest. And so I'm like, I'm healthy, you know, this is ridiculous. At that time, I don't think my cousin had lupus yet. So, you know, you don't realize that it's, you know, a generational kind of thing.
A genetic. Right.
Yeah. So you're like, no, this is no.
Right. Like, yeah. Like, I'm too young. This should be happening to me. I'm doing everything right. Like, what's going on?
Right. So I was in denial.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like most people, when they get, you know, news like that, because it felt like a sentence. It felt like something, because it's a forever thing, you know. So it's not like you take this and it goes away. Like, this is something you have to deal with for the rest of your life. And so, in all honesty, I told my doctor, I was like, I'm going to wait a year, because he wanted me to get on meds. And I was like, no, like, this isn't true. I don't believe it. You know, I'm going to wait a year. I'm going to see what happens, because I had no symptoms other than my eye. Like maybe the year before, I was getting a lot of headaches. But again, this is when you realize being a Black woman and having to rally for yourself. And I learned a lot from somebody on here telling me, you got to ask questions, you got to demand stuff. And I really learned that at that time, I didn't know. When I was getting headaches, they just thought that I had migraines. And there was never, well, let's do a scan or anything like that. It was, here, try this medicine, here, try that medicine, and see what happens. And lo and behold, boom, all the people who thought I was a hypochondriac felt bad for me. So I waited a year, and after that year was up, I did another MRI, and I had more lesions. And so at that point, I could not deny what the diagnosis was at that point. Right. So I went ahead and decided. I did switch my doctors. I think I had a male doctor previously, and although he was good, I just didn't feel, I needed warmth, and I needed some more sympathy to kind of deal with it. And he was very direct, which is fine if you can deal
medically
with that. Yeah, but the emotional state that I was in, I needed someone a little bit more compassion
and empathy,
and empathy for really a life diagnosis. You know, this is something, you know, that you'll have to deal with for the rest of your life. You'll be on medication for the rest of your life. You see people, you think about the stories of people in wheelchairs and unable to walk. No one knows I have MS unless I tell them. You know, knock on wood, thank God that I don't really have any issues, any visible issues that anyone can see. So you would never know unless I told you.
Right.
So I switched doctors, and it was a female doctor, and for the most part, I rolled with her really until I moved out the area. And so.
And what area is that you speak of?
I'm in Philly now.
And where did you come from?
Well, I'm originally from New York, but I lived in D.C. for almost, from 2000 until 2016. So I was there for a good 16 years in the D.C. area. So now I'm a Philly girl.
You gonna shout out your alma mater or what?
Oh, the Howard HU. That's what sent me down to DC. So, I stayed there after I graduated and met some great people. And the reason I moved was because of my current relationship. But we could talk about that later.
Yeah. when you decided to switch doctors, that was a great thing. You know, and I think it's a good thing that you mentioned that, because I'm not sure that I'm not sure that enough of us, and I'm specifically talking to my brown girls, like, we don't say, hey, look, what? Pause. What are you saying to me right now?
Yeah.
What are you saying? Break it down. Act like I'm 5, because I know when I didn't do that, I can speak for myself. When I didn't do that, it's because I didn't want the person on the other end to think that I was uneducated or have any type of negative feelings about me not understanding what was happening or not knowing or anything like that. And I think that it's very, very good that you decided to go with someone that made you feel good, because I'm confident that all illnesses are related a little bit to, like, your recovery has to do with your mental health, right?
Oh,
Right.
absolutely.
Period. So
It's tied
that's how
into your emotions, yeah.
What'd you say?
It's tied into your emotions. How
Yeah,
you feel,
absolutely.
yeah.
So if you're with the doctor that's giving you promise, all while still giving you the truth, I think that that will obviously work a lot better than somebody that's just giving you the truth. Now, me personally, you know, I just need the truth. Tell me what it is. I don't want to hear about what you think. I don't want to know about your grandmama. Like, I just need to know about me right now.
Right.
And I'm okay with that. But being able to do that is not always great for some doctors, but it's good that you're able to actually say that, so that hopefully that there is a lady out there that's like, well, I'm not feeling like I'm getting the treatment that I deserve, because after all, you did pay for it. It comes out your check or somebody's check.
Well, it's not a gender thing, I don't think. I believe that it's more of a human thing,
Right.
and an oath that you took up, which is to do no harm, and you should be able to adapt to your patient's needs.
It's bedside manner.
Spending time with your patients, getting to know your patients outside of the chart. That's what you're there for, and you should be able to adjust your attitude or whatever it is that the patient may need from you as a whole, as a doctor. You should be able to do that no matter what gender you are. And
I agree.
But see, I think sometimes I know what you mean, but in order for that to actually take place, somebody gotta have big enough balls to say, dude, you suck at bedside manner. So if nobody's saying that to him, it's not gonna happen. So
but I've had female doctors that have had I had to switch another one of my doctors out because I didn't like her.
Exactly. Like, but for Lena, I agree. But sometimes I guess it's good I ain't a doctor, because I'm just gonna tell you what you need to know. That's it. If you want to know more, you can ask me more. But you know, but I think that, Lena, are you saying that, what if you don't have the time to like get to know your patient outside the chart though?
That means that you are worrying about the money. That means you have too many patients. See, it's about quality over quantity. And that's the issue. You're trying to pay off that nice Lexus, that big mansion, all those good things that you know you don't need right now outside of your student loan. Because but most places now have it where if you have a certain letters behind your name, then they're going to pay for your tuition as long as you work a certain amount of hours per week for this amount of time. So tuition sometimes, a lot of times, I ain't gonna say all, a lot of times don't even come into play. So it's about, like I said, it's about knowing your limit and knowing the time frame that you have permitted to see your patient, and knowing that, looking at what you have to talk to your patients about or what they're going in for, and allotting that time. If you got 20 patients and you only on an 8-hour, a 5-hour schedule, like, of course, you're going to have 5 to 10 minutes and no time to eat. But how does that benefit the patient? The whole thing about it, you get your money by having return customers, having return patients. having them feeling like, hey, I want to come see you, or I need to go see my doctor, or I want to abide by whatever they ask me to do, which is take a medication or adhere to a certain diet. But if you short and dismiss it, you're going to have a billion patients for that one day. They ain't going to want to come back. Yep. So they're not going to want to come back. They all going to either complain, die out, whatever the case may be, curse you out, whatever the case may be. So I think that it's just best. I think that the doctors, not all, because I've worked with excellent doctors. I had wonderful, actually men doctors. I had wonderful bedside manner, but it's just all in what they have going on in their personal life and being able to separate.
So yeah, you're right. So Maxwell, once you went ahead, you got your diagnosis, and you went back for your second MRI, and you accepted it at that point. Mm-hmm. Don't go with what you were thinking then. Like, use your current Maxwell, right? And talk to the young girl that just got her second set of results, because she did the same thing. Like, she did the same thing you did, like, And what would you happen to say to her at that point?
I probably would say, this is for the best, that taking medication is only going to help you. Maybe doing more, not being so scared to try a particular medication just because, so the medication I was on were shots. It was not oral medication. These were shots. And so I chose a once a week shot when there was an option of an everyday shot, but I was too afraid. I've never administered a shot before to myself, so I was too afraid. So I would tell myself, go with the once a day. That would be less harsh on your body. It wouldn't cause you first of all, you wouldn't have episodes and have to keep repeating, and having issues. You would feel better. You probably wouldn't have gained all that weight because you were depressed and you didn't realize it, so just making better choices, staying healthy, doing things that would increase your health and as far as emotionally, physically, and mentally, because it is a long road, but if you stick with it, you'll do great.
And I have another quick question. Yeah. Listen, would you recommend therapy for somebody that just gets diagnosed with MS?
I would. When I was diagnosed, truthfully, I was working as a loan officer, and at that time that was pretty stressful, and I actually lost my job. So it was crazy because I was closing loans, but there was a period that no one really was. And so they had us sign, we all were on like a 30-day probation. And it just so happened that in that period, I had closed 2 loans, but I was in and out of the hospital for my treatments. And then I had emailed my boss at the time and was like, I'm having an issue. The doctor said if it continued more than 24 hours to come back in. And he basically told me not to via email. And so he let me go via email. And I was like, what? So I'm dealing with this health issue, and then you just let me go inappropriately too. So trying to get a copy of that information was a pain. I know he forged my signature on a new document. That was a whole lot of stuff. But I did go to therapy because I was dealing with no job. And I was dealing with, now that's not saying that people who go with this won't, will lose their job. But I say that because it's relevant to how I kind of took care of myself moving forward and how scared I was, because I equated my health with my job, and the loss of and having this health issue and losing my job. I just felt like it was a scarlet letter on me, And so when I went to my new job, I literally had an episode and I was doing outpatient IV treatments and went to work.
First of all, I'm gonna have to stop you right there. First of all, I'm very familiar with this particular incident, and I told her then that she was batshit crazy. Let's be real. So, are you listening, Lena? Because your face looks like you reading something.
I'm looking at you.
Maxwell is having an episode. Mm-hmm. She goes to the doctor. The doctor say she do out because she don't want to stay in there or whatever, so she could do the outpatient treatment. Here's the thing, though. They had to put a thing in her arm that needed to stay there, right? While she left out. She didn't go home, though. She came to work all them days. And I was like, you ain't got to do that, boo. Like, you ain't got to do that. For real, you ain't got to do that. And she was just like, nah, because I'm not trying to use my PTO and blah, blah, blah. And I'll just come in here and work. And I was like, yeah, I got you on that. That's a legitimate reason why you don't need to be at work. Right. So now hearing what you say, Maxwell, and I didn't equate it at the time, but the fact that you equated your ability to work with your health is interesting. Oh, and I must tell you, good, kind people that are listening, it wasn't a manual job. We were sitting at our desks all day. So it wasn't like, you know, you had to do a whole bunch of manual labor or anything like that. So I still gonna go on the record and say you shouldn't have been at work.
I shouldn't have been at work. But again, you know, when you were let go, I was let go from my job for
when you black,
felt like it was my illness.
When you're black,
and I'm like, I was afraid.
Let's keep it real. Let's just keep it raw.
I was afraid.
Black and your woman.
Yeah, and I didn't want them to think I didn't have the ability to complete my job. And so I went to work with an IV in my arm. Steroid treatment, clocked in, got my steroid treatment, came to work. Like, could not tell me IV in my arm, I'm here, I'm doing my job, you know, like, you can't let me go, I'm here. And that's what held me to my job, you know, health insurance, making sure that, you know, I'm showing that I can do the job, that my illness isn't a factor. Like, now that I'm older, I'm like, you know, and a couple times, you know, talking to my mother, but really you realize you could get hit by a car today and they're going to replace you regardless. Like, and it took a long time, and that's something that I have to remind people, like, you have to take care of you first, because at the end of the day, it's a business and the business will run with or without you. Okay.
Look, when for real, Maxwell was about to move, right? And she was gaining people. Who in the fuck gives your employer a month notice? I was like, why you giving them a whole ass month notice? She was like, well, you know, just because. I was like, look, let me tell you what they ain't gonna do. They not gonna come to you and say, yeah, our finances are messed up and we don't have enough money to pay you this week, so can we just go ahead and terminate you for a little bit and then bring you back? Like, they not gonna do that. So why the fuck you giving a fuck about them? Now, I knew that clearly, and then, you know, well, see how that worked out for me. But nonetheless, I'm just saying that was a legitimate reason not to be at work. And she would say to me, like, your work ethic is here and all this. I can't believe you at work. And I will always be like, but you came to work with the IV in your arm, though. Like, do you really get you the pot or the kettle?
And that's not even good, because that's not even a sterile environment.
So, and what we not gonna even discuss, because I don't have time. We just talked about being controversial. What we not gonna discuss is the background and the reason why you even had those thoughts ever. Because I could tell you, Amanda, Marie, like Becky, they ain't coming to work with the fucking stent in their arm. Period. No. They're not doing it.
No, but the fact that I am who I am, and I couldn't even consider my health because I was afraid. Like, I can't lose this job. I need this job, you know, and I equated my health with my loss of job. So the trauma was there at that point. Like, I was afraid. So
traumatized.
Yes, traumatized. Okay.
So you said before that, I mean, of course, people we know, but for those that don't know you, and like you said, you can't see your symptoms. How did that affect your relationships then and even now?
Honestly, originally at that time I was single, but I can, and truthfully, and this is where therapy and things like that, I felt broken. Like, my immediate thought, and I remember coming from an MRI, and I was talking to my mom, and I was crying because I felt broken. I was like, who's gonna want me? Who's gonna want to deal with this? Like, it was, to me, it was not a death sentence, but it was negative. There was a lot of negativity behind it, you know, having to take a shot, having to deal with the MRIs, having to deal with what if. I don't know what this disease can do, you know, I don't know where I'm gonna go, you know, how it's going to affect me with walking and talking, because one of my episodes I was having problems with my speech. Like, I was slurring my words, you know, or losing my vision. I was just like, who's going to want me? But I was dating someone I did meet someone at the time, and it was in the year that I was waiting to see if I really had MS, and so I was diagnosed and again the next year, and the person I was dating at that time was very supportive, even when it was time to do the medication. The nurse came, my mom came. At that time I was living with my roommates, who are really close friends of mine, and so everybody rallied around me, which was amazing to have, you know, the people that cared about me the most there when the nurse was there to show me how to do the medication, you know, because I was afraid. So it was like, you might need to do it for me. I need you here. We live together. Like, if I can't do it, you're going to have to give me the shot.
Right.
And so, but I quickly figured it out, because when one of my friends was like, I'll do it, I was like, oh no, she trying to stab me.
I'm good. I'm good. I just remember I got the heart.
I'm okay. I'll take my time. Don't you worry about it, because what you're not about to do is stab the hell out of me. That's not
about to stab you like a dart.
No, it was this look was not not the business.
Right.
So I quickly learned how to do it myself. And so my partner was there and supportive, and did you do your shot? Make sure you do your shot. You know, the medication I was originally on gave me flu-like symptoms. And so I took it on a Saturday, and I had a fever pretty much Saturday and Sunday, and it took me the whole week to kind of recruit just to do it all over again. And so, you know, supportive in how you feeling and things like that. So I don't think, I think emotionally I was dealing with something. Again, I started gaining weight with that medication. And so I think it did impact, I think, that relationship at the time. But I also think there was maybe other issues along with that. And so I think I also stayed longer than I should have because of those issues. And I felt like this person was supportive. And I felt like, again, that impact of who's going to want to be with me and deal with, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, it's not an STD where you have to be like, hey, just to let you know, a disclaimer. But I treated it not in that.
But in your mind, it was.
But it was one of those things, like, before you get to know, like, you need to know that I may be tired and I can't explain it. I may not want to do something because my fatigue, because my fatigue is really what hits me now. I don't have my eye is fine. I can see. So I don't really have many issues. I get little twinges and tweaks and stuff in my fingers, and sometimes my thumb will go out of control and start bouncing. But I had to probably really let them know. And my fiance, who was the next person that I was with after the ex that I mentioned, her mother had a neurological disorder. Her mother had lupus. And so when she told me that, I was like, listen, I have MS. I know you took care of your mom, and like, I know the impact of having to take care of someone that you love. Like, so I don't need to be taken care of right now, but who's to say
one day?
Like, are you okay? Like, would you, if that ever came to it, like, you need to know now that this is something that can happen, because I don't want years to go by and then you looking at me like, oh girl, I didn't know. Like, right. I don't, I can't take care of you. Like, right. So I treated it in that conversation like, hey, I'm Maxwell, and I have MS.
Yeah.
Thank you, Maxwell.
Yep. That's the way you wear it, like a badge of honor.
Yeah,
a badge of honor.
Welcome.
Yes, because you need to know, like, there's a saying in the MS community, like, I don't have MS doesn't have me, I have MS, and it's really kind of that concept of trying not to let it have such a hold and impact on you. And it's hard because, again, luckily I'm very low symptomatic, but I was a part of an MS group where people needed wheelchairs and they needed, assistance and things like that. And I was blessed I'm blessed to be where I am now. But it still has that, even thinking about having kids, although I'm getting older, so it's not really something on my mind frame. But when it was like, how am I gonna, like, not even just being gay, let's put that part of it and what that takes into it.
No, that's not even the point of that. It's about how you, like, how you're going to be able to run behind it. Like, are you going to have an episode with the baby?
Hey, look, and Maxwell, who ain't had no understanding about what you were saying? Who was giving you all kinds of explanations? Like, nope, this ain't nope, this can't happen, nope. Who was like, girl, that ain't it?
Yeah.
You gotta be it.
Yeah. But when my best friend who had her baby, I'm holding her baby and my arm was getting tired. Like, I'm thinking, how am I gonna hold a kid? And I don't have the strength to do that. And it's not even like, oh, well, you just need to work out. No. My body I just couldn't. I'm like, okay, let me prop my arm up, So, all those little things, it's those small, minute moments of brokenness that, that I have to shift my mindset of being like, okay, you're not broken. Like, this is something you just have to, this is what it is, and this is what you have to deal with, and this is how you have to cope with it. My partner is very supportive now. She's also like, did you take your shot? I thought you were supposed to put it on your calendar. Why you not remembering? Aren't you supposed to check it off on your app? You got all these apps and you don't know when to take your shot. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. To have that support system.
Yep. Maxwell used to come to work like, I don't know why I had so much extra medication.
Yeah, I used
to be like, what?
I
did not manage it well.
No, when I switched medications to the once a week, at one point it took an emotional toll on me having to do that every single day. It was a reminder. Really, it was a reminder that every day, this is what I have to deal with.
At this time.
Yes. And so I did miss a couple. Too many.
And then look, I used to be like, well, fine. If you don't want to walk later on, that's your business.
Yeah, and remember, I suffered for my birthday because I had a relapse because I wasn't taking my medication and went to Kobe's and couldn't eat my steak because I was on a steroid treatment and my jaws were so swollen that I couldn't bite down. Couldn't enjoy my cupcakes, couldn't enjoy my food, and that was my fault. Nothing but my fault.
Oh my gosh.
And so it's very interesting that you said that you joined a community, right? Mm-hmm. So did you have to research that on your own, or was that like support information that was given to you by any of the professionals that you didn't have to deal with? Because how many more doctors did you add to your life at that point?
At that time, I just had the neurologist, but the MS Society, which is a large, a society that's within all the states, and basically it's a support system for anybody who has MS, and you can, Google it and find the MS Society in your area, and they had, different things that you can go to. They usually will send, if you join it, they'll send you meetings that they have or workshops and stuff that you can go to, that talk about, there's different stages of MS. So they talk about that. They could talk about medication. They could talk about just how you're dealing with it. And somewhere, my mother might have assisted me with it at that point. I'm not sure, with the MS Society, but it was through the MS Society that they had a group for, at that time, it was for people who were in their 20s who had MS. And at that time, I was in my 20s. And so I did that once a week, and that was very helpful. It was very therapeutic, kind of being around like-minded people and people who are dealing with what you're dealing with, especially at a young age. 20 in their 20s, people are not really dealing with this now. Probably more people being diagnosed, but before it was for older people. I did go to a meeting or a workshop, and everyone was kind of older, and I felt like people were looking at me like, what are you doing here? Because one, right. You don't see anything, I look fine, I'm walking okay, and I was young and I felt out of place. But when I got to this group, I felt, very much at home and really a resource that I needed at that time to kind of deal with what I was dealing with.
That's totally amazing.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think it's great that you were able to be in that relationship, because the first partner that did all of that research for you, that's some amazing shit. Like, people that don't happen a lot, you know what I'm saying? And that's real love right there. Of course, coming from me, but that's a good message, right? Because when you have somebody and you want to make it work with somebody and you want to do it, you want to provide them the best quality of life you could possibly do for them. And so she probably was doing all that to figure out what the hell her part was going to be in it. So to make sure that she was going to be good.
Oh, yeah. And I will say with my ex and with my current relationship, they both did their research. They both looked up MS to figure out what that meant and, what they can do. Yeah, just to kind of, and they have a brochure, that you can give to your partner,
but don't give you the nitty-gritty.
MS, what now? But because really people don't understand. Like, if I'm telling you, we went for a bike ride, me and my partner now, we went for a bike ride and I was losing it. I know how to ride a bike, but it was hot out. And my body was just not trying to go through the motions.
No, not today.
And I was crying, and she was like, "Are you okay? Let's go." She was like, "I don't know, She was like, "Let's just go, because I couldn't explain it."
Yeah, and it takes a minute for the other person, for me, right? It took me a minute to get it and understand it, right? Because we're doing all the exercise, we trying to lose weight together, we walking across the bridge, and I'm like, come on, let's go, we got this. And she like, bitch, it ain't we good, it ain't a race, like, we both gonna get there. And I was just like, but why we can't just,
move a little bit faster?
And she's like, no, for real, this is where I learned this from. Like, she was like, I ain't stopping you, shorter. Like, you could go ahead and walk up there. Like, I'm not stopping you, but I need to stay right here. And then I just had to ask her, like, well, why you don't want to, increase the pace. Like, if that's what we're supposed to be doing, because we reading all this information and this is how you do this and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, look, it don't work like that for me. I get tired. Then I had to look in her face and I see she red as a beet, and I'm like, oh, this bitch gonna pass out. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, you good. Nope, we not doing that no more. So once I got it, I got it. But that goes back to what I was gonna say in reference to unseen illnesses. Like, people don't tend to like take them seriously.
Oh yeah.
I think that's kind of whack. Like,
and sometimes you can't even explain which you can't explain it because you don't even know what's going on. It's like an uphill battle, like you having a war with inside yourself. Literally.
No, that's literally what she said is going on though.
Like literally, literally, it's a whole war. Like, and then I gotta come argue with you about why I can't articulate what the hell is going on in between my brain and physically, like. So it's just awesome.
And how about that amazingness though? She ain't have to argue.
Right, that's what I was about to say.
Because her partner knows her.
Have a person,
you know what I'm saying? That's that real shit right there.
You don't gotta fucking explain nothing. That's God right there. That's your creator. That's your creator right there. I'm telling you.
Go.
Answering those them prayers of who's gonna want me?
Yes.
Who's gonna want this?
That is
hard to not feel. It's hard to not feel damage, you know. I mean, and there's a lot of, you know, even within a relationship and the things that you go through, just that mentality of feeling damage, whether it's emotional, whether you've gone through something you know throughout your life and want to find a partner, you know, you can do everything to love yourself, but at the same time, will someone accept that? Because you feel like, okay, this is something that I would deem as maybe a damaging thing, and it's not. It's really not. But if someone couldn't relate, deal, or be like, this is too much, like, you could be there watching me give myself a shot. Like, I literally did my shot one time in front of my aunt, and she started breaking down crying because for her, you know, and even my mother, you know, it's one of those things where it feels like you don't want to see someone go through pain. So how could someone you're trying to be in a relationship, like, can you handle me doing this, you know, in front of you? Because I can't, you know, you try to run over here, but sometimes you got to be like, click, click, you know, and do it, you know. And can you handle my emotional toll, you know, and having to deal with this and what this would mean for you if something happened to me? Like, I always said, you know, like, I had joined Weight Watchers, and they always want to know, oh, what's your why, the reason you're doing this, right? And originally, when I first joined and almost broke out in tears, my why was, I don't want to be a burden. I don't want to be heavy, right? And God forbid the MS plays a toll on my functions or me being able to walk and someone not being able to assist me. Like, it's one thing to be 130 pounds and someone's lifting you up and toting you around, but to be 230 pounds, you know, and someone having to help you, like, I didn't want to be a burden, because there's a chance, you know, that if down the line, like, thank God my MS is under control. It's stable. I take my medication when I'm supposed to.
And we don't have no extras, right?
I don't have any extras. I am not the pharmacy, okay? Like I was before, and I'm doing well. But, you know, again, you just never know with this. And so, you know, it's always a thing in the back of my mind of even though my partner could, you know, would be willing to do it, I want to make it easier for them and not make it harder. Or even myself, you know, maybe lifting myself up at 230 pounds isn't easy, but I can lift myself up at 130. So you know, wanting to be independent, not being a burden on the person that you're with, you know. So all those things, when you're dealing with something that really is a life-altering disease, and, you know, or life-altering kind of outcome of your life, and because it changes, your life changes when you get something like that. Your life does change, and so
your mindset change.
Your mindset, yep. And so all that comes into play when I'm thinking about my relationship and how I maneuver so that I take care of myself, so I don't have to worry about someone having to take care of me, you know, my partner having to worry about taking care of me.
I have a bit of a question, one that I just really don't know the answer to.
Yeah.
In speaking about the relationships, I know we were speaking of romantic, and it was great that all your friends rallied around you and everything like that, right? But right now, what I'm thinking about is my son and him being 21, and if he was placed in that, you know, the same type of predicament that you were placed in, what that would make me feel and how I would be feeling as his mom, right? And I wonder if it emotionally took a, you know, do you think that it took an emotional toll on your mom and your relationship?
For sure.
And not necessarily our relationship, but it took an emotional toll on her. I will say she cried. She cried. You know, it's hard not to cry when you, my mom says it all the time, even if she sees me take my shot, you know, she'll go, I wish I could take this from you. I wish I could take this from you.
Right. That's what I was thinking.
You know, because at the end of the, you know, it's something that is not going to go away. You have to take medication. You have to be okay. So, you know, if I'm tired, especially like if it's a PMS thing, like, oh, around that time, I'm basically dead to the world. Like, short of nose, we went to the gym and I was like, y'all, I can't even lift my leg up.
Right.
There's no, like, I need a break. This is the week I need a break because my fatigue was exasperated. It was like times 10. And so with my mom, her seeing me like that, you know, there's even to this day, I've been dealing with this since 2006, you know, I think I started medication between 2006, somewhere between 2006 and 2008, somewhere around there, but it's been more than 10 years. And so she still will shed a tear and still would be like, I wish I could take this from you. You know, I'm sorry you have to go through this, because, you know, it's emotional, you know, to see your child, and I'm her only child, you know, I'm her world, having to deal with this. It's a lot.
I can only imagine. I wouldn't want that on anybody, but I'm glad that you guys are, like, you know, making it through.
Oh yeah, she's supportive. She's very supportive though. That I mean, even when I did lose my job, she made sure that I had insurance so I can, you know, I had Cobra, and she paid for my Cobra so that I can continue, you know, seeking medical attention. So, you know, my mother is amazing, and she will do anything and everything to make sure that I am okay. So
shout out to my New York mom.
Shout out to Mama D.
Yes. But you know, Maxwell, I wanted to call her Mama D, but you know the reason why I don't call her Mama D, right?
No.
Why?
It's because you already got a Mama D.
I do have another
She knows that Mama D. And that's the only reason why I won't call her Mama D. So now I got to say all the extra words, my New York mom. Or I'd be like, hey, Miss D, all this. I just be like, hey, Ma.
I do have another Mama D in my life who I love dearly. But you know, my mom all secretive, so I don't want to say her name and stuff.
That's true. You know, because we don't need the doors flying down. Okay. No, ma'am.
No, thank you. We good.
Yeah, but yeah, she's definitely been there for me 100%.
So the other thing that I wanted to say is that I wanted to touch on the topic of your medication. I know you said you had to take it, and
hold for a second.
Okay.
Because it's 8:00. You said an hour, Maxwell.
That's fine. We can keep going to get.
I can promise you this will be my last one. I got something.
Like, you're not gonna pass out on us because you.
No. I'm okay.
I can't. I might cry.
I'm okay.
Shit, I might cry. I don't got time for shit now, and I can't get through there and come get to you, and I can't do it.
No, I'm okay.
All right.
Okay. So in reference to your medication, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that you had insurance, right? Mm-hmm. And so in that retrospect, you were kind of fortunate, right? Yeah. In your meetings or you're coming across of other MS people that also have MS? Have you come across many people that haven't been able to get their medications, even though it's an actual need? Like, you can clearly see that they might be a little bit more severe than you.
I didn't, anybody in my group, I believe everyone had insurance. There was that point when we mentioned that I was not taking my medication and I had excess. There was a girl in my group who had moved at the time and she was in between doctors. And so because of that, she was not able to get her medication. And I don't know if I should say this on record, but I did supply her with my excess at the time because I had it. And so we were on the same medication. There wasn't one of those things where, you know, oh, it's formulated for her. Yeah, it's not formulated for her over, formulated for me. It was the same exact thing. And so I was able to assist her at that time with because it would have gone bad anyway. So I did help her when she needed medication at that time. So that's the only person I know, but her circumstance was
a little bit different.
It was a little bit different. So because of moving and trying to get the new doctors and old doctors and get everything process. I personally don't know anyone, but I will say that there are programs available through some of these medications that will do payment assistance. The first medication that I was on was Copaxone. And I am on Avonex right now, which is it could be either every day at 20 milligrams or every other day or 3 times a week for 40 milligrams. And Avonex also has a payment assistant, a copay assistance plan. And so depending, there's brand and there's generic. I had been on brand for quite some time, and forcibly through the insurance company, I was made to get generic, which I was not happy about. And not even just in the concept of being happy that they're making me do it, but my fear was, what if the generic doesn't work? I've been on brand for years now, and you're gonna make me
I've been shopping that Gucci since 1997, and now you tell me I gotta go to Target.
Hey, Nana, them was some hard conversations, child.
Yes, I was going through it, especially because the copay assist, like, let's be real candid. My medication at brand was $5,000 plus a month. Okay, so when I decided, okay, do I do copay? Do I do a deductible plan or a PPO plan and things like that? Really, how much am I spending? Yada yada yada. When someone's telling me that they're going to reimburse me, and I decided to go for the high deductible plan, and someone's going to give me my money back and get $2,000 back versus me having to pay $2,000, that makes a damn difference. Right. And so I was upset. I was truly upset. But I also have to sit there and be blessed at the same time, because there are some people, again, brand is $5,000. Even at the generic, it's still like over $2,000.
Right.
So for someone who does not have insurance, and maybe has to rely on potentially the copay assist, they only give you X amount of dollars for the year. So if you have to use copay assist, there's a chance you may not get your medication, right. So it's relevant. For me, I had insurance, so it's like, suck it up, Shem. Suck it up.
Exactly.
Maxwell, and be blessed that you can get this assistance, because that issue's expensive.
Right.
And so, I'm glad that I could get the assistance. I'm glad that I do have insurance, because it's something that you need. And if I don't take it, from experience, I will have an episode. I will get new lesions on my brain, and I will have issues.
Right. And if you close to her before that happens, she's going to come to you for like a few days and say, do I have a fever? Do you think I have a fever? Can you feel me and see if I have a fever? And every day you're gonna keep saying, yeah, you feel a little warm. Yeah, you feel a little warm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then you say, well, go ahead and stay home because your immune system already compromised. I ain't got no PCO. They ain't gonna let me off.
Oh no, see, I have learned now, and this is growth, okay? I take off. And especially with this COVID and the corona, and I'm not driving. I was taking the bus to work. I'm not taking nobody's bus. You're not about to expose me. Like, no, I have. And although my doctor says, that my risk probably isn't as high because I'm controlled, I'm not taking that chance.
No good. Because some of the symptoms of corona is muscle pain.
Yeah. How am I supposed to know?
You said you twitching and all. No,
she's like, I twitch every day.
I'd be like, ooh, I can't even explain. And really, sometimes the pains that I get, I can't explain how it feels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I
had an episode yesterday, and I was like tears. I was just like, you okay? What is it? I couldn't even say nothing, like nothing. And it's just that sciatic pain shooting everywhere. It's in my feet, my back. It was in my left hand. I'm just like, am I going to have to do this for the rest of my life? Like, this pain hurts, and especially when it comes all in one time in every spot. Like, you hit me in my neck, my back, my feet, my head. Like, why? Like, why? When y'all can't do nothing to fix this outside of medications and surgeries, like,
oh yeah, and
some holistic.
Yeah, and we did try to do holistic stuff, and I'm sure, a better diet and things like that. I can attest there was a detox that Shorter gave me for a month, and it took out, pretty much sugar, carbs, and I ate, but I felt great. Like, I did not really feel any of those pains and those things, and I have more energy. So I will say your diet and stuff will, definitely plays a part in how you feel and stuff like that. So I probably, to take care of myself and my condition, I probably should eat better. I'm not gonna lie, because I did, trust me, doing it for a month, I can really attest that I felt great. Like, those twinges and tweens and twangs and stuff that I was feeling, I just didn't, so
that was awesome.
Yeah, that was an amazing detox. Shout out to Body by Tasha, I think. I don't know. Anyway, I'll try to figure it out. But remember, Maxwell, I just like, look, I'm just trying to look good. I don't care about how much the scale weight, child. I just want to make sure I wear this size, okay? Mm-hmm. And Maxwell used to be like, but you're gonna get healthy, right? And I used to be like, fuck that. I don't care about that shit. I just don't want to be a goddamn 18. Mm-hmm. And she used to be like, but you gotta worry about your health. Child, look, I ain't doing that. What these people tell me to do, I'm gonna lose this weight right quick. That's it. Of course, now I've caught up, because the thing about not being exposed to certain things, it limits your education, period. If you don't take the time to go and find out, or if your circle isn't big enough for you to be able to learn a lot of things from different people, it's not going to work out. So that's how I was able to say, well, okay, so she say she eating good and she got to do it this way. She don't have to, but she choose to. All right, I guess it is going to keep her healthy. Let me do it too then. And it was easy, right? A little bit easy after a little while, but it worked out.
That's good.
And I told somebody the other day, I said, yo, I got fat because Maxwell left. Listen, I blame everything on Maxwell.
Everything. That's for another day, another
everything
time.
happened because Maxwell left and went to Philly.
Listen, I'm telling you, I miss those Woodrow Wilson Bridge walks. You hear me?
I just brought that up to Shee like 2 weeks ago. We was talking about when I used to walk over there. I was like, I remember that.
Yeah, I missed that. Oh my God. Like, that was the regimen. Like,
yes.
When I met my partner, like, literally I was on a health kick. So I had lost probably like 30 pounds before, we actually met. And we were sending email. We met on Match, right? So we met on Match.com, and we paid for this love, so it ain't going nowhere.
We invested, literally.
We invested investment. It's paying off.
Yes. And so, you sketchy, so you don't know anybody. So you sending emails and stuff. And it's like, yeah, I'm going for a walk today. Today's my walk day. Oh, I'm going spinning. We both over here healthy as hell. And now we sitting there like passing chips.
That's how it used to be.
Yep.
So, the focus on that because you was by yourself.
Hey.
Oh yeah. And even when we even after, I think maybe we met in October. So November.
That was a good month.
February. So maybe 4 months after that, I still lost another 20 pounds, so I still was able to maintain like what I was doing. But it just got a little bit harder being in a long distance relationship, trying to visit and then be like, so you expect me to cook when I get here too? We need to go out to eat.
Right. I feel you. You need to wine and dine me. I came in. I'm a guest. No.
Yeah. But going on them walks, I'm telling you, like we going to the gym, we had a gym that was close by from work, and we would hit the gym and, do that. So I will say I miss my workout buddy.
I miss everything about you.
Oh, y'all irritating. Thank you for coming on to the Shee DC morning show. We appreciate you spilling your gut about your personal business, because a lot of people are not confident enough to talk about their illnesses or what they feel as though it's something bad or damaged, as you say, damaging, so it's awesome that you're at a space now where you can talk about it and not cry.
Because it's safe up in here. And I dare anybody not to make this here place on Shee DC not a safe place. We're going to have problems. We don't do that here. It's a safe place. We say what we want, we do what we want, and that's it. And then go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for letting me share my story. Hopefully people learned a little bit more about MS, and, it's surprisingly how many people do have it that I come across, or someone's loved one that has it. And so, you can live your life with it, and it doesn't have to damage who you are as a person.
And I'm Big Lane, and I approve that message.
And I definitely approve that message. So, on that note, what am I supposed to tell these people again? Oh.
Like, subscribe.
Thank you for joining us again for a wonderful show. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Bow, did it. Boom.
To the Shee DC morning show. Bye, guys.
Bye. All right.